In a special feature, we will show you a full review of the Golf 7 facelift GTI Performance. And this is the new Golf GTI TCR. It will be top of the line model. We'll take a look at it. And this one here, of course, also with the driving part, so exterior, interior and the performance experience. On Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Taking a look here at the front, you can see that since the facelift you got this red GTI stripe, which is then going on to the headlights, because all GT models, so GTD, GTI and then also the Golf R of course, they get the LED headlight unit from standard equipment. For all other Golf they are optional, but here you can see it's a very interesting light signature, and also the turning indicator is exactly in the light signature then. The GTI Performance Pack is also then stressed with some bigger spoilers in the lower part, and this special color, by the way, well, it's not black, it's not red. Is it red? Well, it is called Black Ruby. Pretty interesting approach. I would rather pick the GTI in the classic GTI red. However, this red contrast stripe, of course, plays a bigger role when you don't have the red body paint. Which one would you go for? 4.26 meters or 14 foot is the total length. 5-door compact hatch. This is a rather classic approach, and you can see very significant has always been the big C-pillar with the Volkswagen Golf. It starts with 17-inch rims. Those ones here are the 18-inch ones, and optional you can get for the Golf GTI 19-inch. But those ones I think have a good compromise between the visual part and then also the comfort that you still have in the riding. Also the GTI Performance then, you can see here the brake calipers painted in red, comes with a little bigger brake discs for some more performance. And the rest of the shape here, since the Golf 7, you have some more significant design lines. You can very well see the dividing in light and shadow. Keyless entry with the door handles here. You just hold your hand to close and put your hand inside the handles to open it again. And again to the rear, this very classic shape. But the style, the main style here of the car is really about combining sportiness and elegance. And I think for the GTI this works very well. And here we are at the rear. It has this very classic MQB platform hatch style. Here then also, since the facelift with those upgraded taillights, you can see you also can get this cascading turning indicator lights. And this also standard then for those full LED headlamps we have here with the GTI. Also we have a real 2 big performance exhaust right here, and I think for a 2-liter turbo engine the sound is actually quite decent. On the interior you'll however also get the sound actuator, that the sound is boosted on the interior, because it's of course well insulated from what you hear from the outside and then what you hear from inside in the cabin. So what's under the hood here? This one, the 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine in the performance pack with 245 horsepower. A normal GTI would be 230 horsepower. Those are the horsepower figures since the recent facelift. And the acceleration figure is here 6.2 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. 6.4 with a normal GTI. This one here either 7-speed DSG or the 6-speed manual gearbox. The normal GTI gets the 6-speed DSG optional as an automatic gearbox. Faster is just the Golf R that you can get done with all-wheel drive. All others are just front-wheel drive. Here in the performance pack, however, then with a front differential lock. And the Golf R, by the way, is 1.5 seconds faster than even, because it just has more grip to the ground. But of course, there's now also this new Golf GTI TCR version that will surely also beat this one then in the performance. Taking a look at the interior, soft touch on the top part at the inside of the doors, electronic control for the side mirrors, then there's also room for bigger bottles right there, I like that. And then those classic tartan seats, GTI sport seats, they are the standard seats basically, and they will just keep it with them. It keeps you warm in winter, cool in summer, it's good fabric, also durable, and then good side support with contrast stitches. Just a lovely characteristic, I would say. If I would see such a structure just normally in a non-GTI, I would probably say, that's not my favorite structure overall, like, visual wise, but it somehow fits to the GTI and it's just so characteristic for the GTI. Menu seats right here, yeah, with pumping it up your. And then the GTI steering wheel, also digital dashboard. You can see there's nothing to see at the moment. Soon more details to that for sure for you. And then this GTI steering wheel, which has the flat bottom. Let's get inside. Fairly easy entry right here. And you know what you get. You know what you expect from a Volkswagen Golf. It is not something where you would say, oh wow, it's something completely new, completely different. But you just know that you get a very good and high standard. Also, I like seating in those special GTI Sport tartan seats. Are they better than a normal Golf seat? I think that's just a matter of preference, if you like it a little bit sportier or not. I like both seats, the base and the sport seat actually. And as a tall person, 1.86 or 6'1", still have enough headroom left. There's no panoramic roof inbuilt here. There's one optional. And from all compact segment cars, I sit among the best here in the Golf, and the GTI doesn't change that. Although it sits a little bit lower and is sportier, it still offers me basically the very same comfort. You can also adjust the steering wheel here in all the ways. Easy to do that, and you can find a very good position. Also can really put it towards you, that you can control the car a little bit better. And the manual seat control here, but it's actually quite easy to do. Also then here with turning it, although I don't like those turning knobs, but some others do like it better. We had that in a discussion already once. And of course, aluminum pedals we have here as well as a feature. Interior overview. The Golf in general is very easy to read, easy to learn, with a classic climate control in the lower part. Then you get 6.5 inch as a standard Golf, 8 inch a little bit bigger. Standard is that with the GTI, and this one here, the new 9.2 inch since the facelift, optional then. It also has this gesture control that you can, for example, swipe in the main menu, but I'm not sure if it's the most useful feature. You can just do it like this as well. It's a very glossy surface. You have to clean it very often, but then when it's clean, it looks super fancy for sure. Here with the GPS, for example, also shooting at Lake Chiemsee here today in Bavaria. It reacts very precisely and fast. Pretty cool stuff. You can connect your phone with Apple CarPlay, for example, but also with Bluetooth, that's possible as well. Soft touch on the top part of the dashboard here as well. This is the only thing I don't like in the interior, the gap here between the top and the lower part. In the Seat Leon they have a different solution because the screen is horizontal here, and then the lower part looks like a natural gap, but I think they should solve this for the Golf 8. GTI steering wheel, red contrast stitches on the inside. Then this one here, the GTI Performance, is the only one that always comes with the active info display from standard equipment. You do not have the chance. With a normal GTI you can also pick the standard analog gauges. The good thing for this one here is a good clear display. You can have the digital speed and stuff, but you can also switch around, have a lap timer here, for example, or then the, the GPS view and the driving data. So it also has its advantages. And my favorite part in the interior is the gear lever here. The 6-speed manual gearbox has this golf ball design and just always feels somehow cool to touch it and then to control the car with it. Next to the start button is the drive mode selector. When you click that one, you can pick the different driving modes that also stiffens or softens the suspension. And one thing that's a little pity, just one USB port right there. There should be at least two, I think. And in the middle part, electric handbrake, adaptive cup holders that do a good job. You can also slide them right there. And then fixedly attach this armrest and some more room, for example, for another mobile phone. But again, you cannot charge it right there. And getting in the rear, compact segment. It's not the newest car and it does actually fit quite well for 4 tall adults, but that's about it. I can put my hand in front of my knees, so it is possible for adults, but it's not that you would have super abundance of room. Headroom wise, it's good when you leave the panoramic roof if you sit with tall people in the rear. So overall, I have a comfortable position right here in the rear. Also better than some other compact segment cars, but there are other cars which use the room even a little bit better. And for example, in the new Polo, you do not have less legroom or something. It's just that the trunk is shorter. We'll soon take a look at that one too. We also have the tartan design here at the rear part of the seats. And then we can also flip the seats already from here. It's a 1/3, 2/3 split. Of course, better look here when we take a look at the trunk. But it's really funny that we also have this sport design, that you have those like single seats in the rear that also have shoulder supports, for example, for your kids, and Isofix for your very small kids that are enjoying this 245 horsepower. Let's now look at the trunk. You flip the Volkswagen logo. Also the rear view camera is hidden behind that, and another hidden space right here because the emergency triangle is right there. It's a clever idea. Then square dimensions for the trunk here, also enough in length. I can put a standard cabin trolley right here that you can see how you can vary it. Also here fits quite well. And then here underneath you can have the replacement tire and also the DIN audio system. It's a pretty cool sound system, by the way. Especially like it in the Tiguan in the highest trim level. That was a pretty cool sound. Then let's flip the seats. Here we go. This is the 1/3, and then we go with the other third. And then you can also load things through. This is the maximum setup you get. Before we get to motorway driving part and some other general impressions, let's start with some performance for you. Very good traction, although we just have front wheel drive. The car feels compact as well. Wow, what a great handling. It really glues to the road. It's basically a small ready track we have here. Yeah, that's the stuff. Over the bump. So much control over the car with the progressive steering. Is really precise and I don't have to steer that much. Nice sound also from the sound actuator. Crisp shifting. Wow. Actually, fun-wise, I would prefer this car over some other very much more expensive sports car. Let's do some driving with the GTI Performance. We start here at the parking lot. You can see the rear view camera with a good resolution. Also have this view here to the side that, for example, I can see if someone is approaching there at the side. So the sensor is combined in the camera view. Manual gearbox here today for you because we want to have it really sporty. Some of you said, please use the manual gearbox if possible. I'm generally a fan of the DSG just for comfort, but here this car fits also very very well together with the manual gearbox. I'll just start some city driving here to have it as a complete review, but the focus is the Autobahn, the motorway here today, especially for you, because I heard someone say, Thomas, can you please take it out to the German Autobahn? And that's what I'm going to do for you here today. So the manual gearbox is very crisp. When you put in the gears, you get a sporty feedback. So it is smooth enough, yes, but it does give you that feedback that you want in a sporty car. And also very funny with this golf ball feel, which the lever has on the top. It's always something, you're interacting with the steering wheel and with the shifting lever, so that's always something special then. Very smooth how you can put in the turning indicators, and those small details is what makes the Golf stand out from other cars in this segment, that all the small stuff is really executed very well. Again, it is not a super exciting new vehicle. It has still this rather conservative layout, but then that they pay so much attention to those details and everything works just flawlessly. That's the thing that always makes you feel welcome in this vehicle. And so when you're driving just slowly in the city and stuff, it could just be a normal Golf. Yes, you feel a little bit that the suspension is a little bit stiffer here with the GTI, of course, and especially with the Performance. But then, as soon as you go just a little bit on the throttle, it's already there, this typical GTI feeling. And here in the Performance version is also the difference. You have this front differential lock, so that helps you because you have even more power at the front wheels when you really push it, also letting it play with the clutch a little bit, that you don't have so much wheel spin at the front wheels. That's one of the key differences. That's already, that was almost 80 and you're gone. And it's also really fun to shift this car. So one of the very rare cars where I would say, yeah, why not go for the manual gearbox? That's really, really cool. And I also saw in the front display, the traction control there was already working and the differential. So even if it was just going straight, and I did not lose any feeling, in the steering wheel. So usually when you have a lot of power on the front wheels and you don't have the right mechanisms to prevent that, sometimes it can feel that the car is understeering or steering to a side or something. But here, especially with this front differential lock, they have really managed to control that. And if you compare it to the Golf R, for example, which has the all-wheel drive, that's a little bit less of the problem, because then torque is also direct to the rear wheels. And yes, the Golf R has even more punch. It's about 1.5 seconds faster to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. But this one here with 6.2 seconds is already very fast. Interesting, a Toyota IQ with a bicycle carrier on the rear. Wow, I wonder if that turns up in the front when you put a bicycle in the rear. Really funny. But, very cute vehicle. So, now we're getting on the motorway. Already put in the third gear. And let's see, this flexibility of the engine. Going from 60. That's already 100 almost again. And here's also a part with unlimited speed. Just have to enter the motorway safety. Really effortless, and it's just a 2-liter engine. So what else can we do? We can also have the driving mode. This was all the normal driving mode. This was already very sporty. Also you have this sound actuator, which is even boosting the sound on the interior. Yeah, you can argue about that, but the thing is, the modern cars are so well insulated that sometimes you wouldn't hear so much, and that's the reason for that. So now to the sport mode, then the sound is even boosted a little bit more. Hearing the difference? A little bit more low frequency. And let's also change the lane during accelerating, see how the car performs there. Wow, cool. cool. That is really great progressive steering. It is one of my favorite steering setups. The reason is it is very precise and direct, and it increases. So by the same time, it's not too hard to control. So in the city, you can very easily steer it around, find a parking lot and stuff. But at the same time, when you want to have a more sporty approach, it's there as well. And somehow they manage that also not feeling unnatural, because sometimes when they're easy to steer or very progressive, then they're feeling somehow artificial. But here they found this balance really, and I prefer that also when you compare, for example, a sport Mercedes A-Class, where you have to steer more overall. And here you don't have to steer so much, but still you are in perfect control, and every lane change here is then really a lot of fun. Suspension-wise, indeed, they still have a good compromise. You do feel this performance setup that is a little bit stiffer, so when I'm going over those transverse bumps now, it's a little bit like this, but not too much. So I would still say that this car is fully capable for your everyday driving life, no problem. The same accounts also for the Golf R, basically. The Golf GTI Club Sport, which we had once, it's not sold anymore at the moment. That one was even a little bit stiffer there. I would say, yeah, maybe that was a little bit too much for everyday driving. Of course, that's also personal preference. But here the GTI Performance, still in a very good region where you can combine this comfort and sportiness both. Also, when, for example, at here now the speed is a little bit restricted. Will be lifted soon, I hope, again. Then you can, for example, just relax, put in the 6th gear, let it run. Also can use the optional adaptive cruise control, which works flawlessly. You can set it here at the steering wheel, and the distance to the car in front of you is being kept and also reduced. Interesting also, it's not with every vehicle, when you have set the cruise control and then you change the gear. In the manual gearbox, it remains the speed. You do not have to reset the cruise control. That's really well done. In some other cars, that's only the case that the speed is being kept by changing gears when there's an automatic gearbox, and it's cancelled when you change the gear with a manual gearbox. But here it remains the speed. That's also pretty cool. Driving mode difference here, by the way, when you just let it roll, sport. Wow. I mean, this short wheelbase also gives this great response as well. Then normal. Yeah, the steering is then a little bit softer, and also the suspension, because we have the dynamic chassis control here, so the adaptive suspension that is changing also a little bit then. So you can also adapt your driving style. There are some small nuances, so it's not like a world between those, but it's good to have it. If you sometimes want to drive it a little bit sportier, but then I can say, I got Granny in the back, so I want to have it a little bit more comfortable, then it's still possible. And one of the key elements for me for the GTI is always, you know what you get. It's not a super spectacular car, which is, all new, so much different than anything else. But you know what you get, you know what to expect, and you can never be wrong in a way, Because taking this normal compact segment car, everything is worked out to almost to perfection. There are new cars like the Mercedes A-Class, which also have even fancier infotainment maybe, but I think this one is better to control, especially while driving, and it can still reach to the manual AC, for example, and reset the temperature in a very easy way. So although we have the infotainment upgrade here, it is still very easy to control, and that's also pretty cool. Also, you might have already thought yourself, I'm driving 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour, and I don't have to raise my voice that much. It's still very silent in here, and the Golf is still one of the best when it comes to noise insulation on the road. Even, the surface is quite good, but also not the very smoothest. So, but still, there are no big, tire noise or something coming up. And that also belongs to this very well executed package, which gives you this driving feeling, which always can switch between very comfortable and sporty at the same time. And you know, this elegance we've seen on the exterior part, that's not too rough, basically, is then also transported on the inside. Again, you know, some prefer a more dramatic styling on the exterior, and also there's more dramatic feeling on the interior, like you had, for example, with the Honda Civic Type R, a car which always says, you know, race me, race me, race me. This one rather says, you can race me, but if you don't want at the moment, you don't have to. That's what this car is telling me. And I think, you know, as most of the time you use the car in everyday driving life and maybe not really on the racetrack, that's also, for most people, probably the more suitable approach then. Seen a Ferrari overtaking us. Shall we race that one? If yes, then give us thumbs up. No. We should do that with a live stream. I couldn't really directly see what you guys think about that. So even if you are restricted in the speed limit, you can use it for a little fun with a lane change. Also, those seats here keep you really tight. They're not so tight that I would say you feel totally caged in and maybe claustrophobic, but they give you enough support, you know, not to be shaken around, especially also due to this fabric surface. We've been driving for a longer time now, and the fabric surface keeps you cool in summer and also warm in winter. So I think temperature-wise, it's also a better choice even than going with the Alcantara. It's not as sticky as with the Alcantara, but it's definitely stickier than you know, than a very slick surface. So I think it is also just the best to remain with the base seats here. It's all improved by driving. Consumption-wise, by the way, if I just let it run here with a steady speed motorway, you can score something 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers. That would be, you know, just about 35, 36 miles per gallon. That is pretty decent. If you push it a little bit more, also, you know, in city traffic, more corners and stuff, then it will race, and you can also get to regions of about up to 9 liters or 100 kilometers, and that would be then just something in region 23 miles per gallon. Yes, one of you said I also should try to recalculate and give the figures in miles per gallon. If I sometimes miss it, you can always then put it in a Google calculator or translator. That also works. I love to shift back to the third gear. The third gear is somehow my absolute favorite in this car, because it's something in the middle, in between. And sometimes, you know, especially in countryside areas, you are in that third gear and have the good sound as well. And even though in a normal driving mode, then you can go back to the sport mode. Even maybe sometimes go with the third gear to 120. And that also works. So again, one of the very rare cars where I really enjoy also the shifting process. The overview, by the way, is always good because it has the standard setup with the rather upright windows to the sides, so you exactly know where the car is ending. If you want more, there's also this assistance system with the cameras and stuff. Blind spot monitor is available too. Let's let this T6 overtake us. And let's see on the left side mirror, there we go, with the yellow warning right there. One of the most important safety features. This one is also equipped already with the middle trim level, sadly not with the base. You get the AEB, the autonomous emergency brake, so-called front assist at Volkswagen. So most of the Golf will be equipped with those, and except you go for the base version. And then the next security detail you should definitely get is this blind spot monitor. One swag to the third gear, and let's do some more 100 to 120. Plop, there we go. That was only 125. That is really so cool. So definitely, for me, one of the most fun cars in the compact segment. Not the raciest one, not the most dramatic one, but the one that is, in driving, best to combine this sporty elegance with the degree of comfort that you really want. And here we are now with the Golf GTI TCR, which will be top of the line GTI with some stronger lower bumpers and also in the rear even stronger spoilers than the normal GTI versions, and under the hood then 290 horsepower. No acceleration figure has been released yet, but it will also have the mechanical differential lock like the GTI Performance. So that's a difference, and the normal GTI has the electronic differential lock, GTI Performance, and the GTI TCR, the mechanical differential lock in the front. And this one here also available with the Akrapovic exhaust. It will almost sound like the one behind me, I guess, so even more powerful sound is available, and it will be the fastest GTI ever because you can unlock the max speed to 264 kilometers an hour, unlike the 250 kilometers an hour that would be with a normal GTI. Well, that's, I guess, just a marketing trick, but you can see it's an even more spectacular version, also with some more accentuations on the inside, Alcantara, and a little bit sportier setup. So if you want to have even a little bit more than a GTI Performance. Well, there's one guy that has already driven this vehicle, Volkswagen Works driver Benny Leuchter. And tell us, how does it drive?
It's just great. I really have to say I'm really happy to bring the car back from the circuit now on the street. I think it's one of the most performance cars which we have at the moment.
So behind us there's basically your baby for the racetrack. What have you carried over from the racetrack car to the series production car?
A lot. We try to bring the best parts out of the car, out of the racing car to the street car. So that what is possible. We started by the steering rack, which is for me as a driver quite important. You always get a very nice and direct feedback from the car, and we have exactly the same steering rack in the racing car, now in the street car.
And what would you say? What's the difference to the Golf R? Because this one is the even more performant one horsepower-wise, but you as a racing driver also prefer to have less weight and stuff. So what would you see as a comparison?
I mean, these two cars are really quite equal to each other, I have to say. The Golf R has a big advantage that this car is all-wheel driven. The TCR GTI street car, you have a front-wheel driven car, but you have an advantage, as you said, it's a little bit lighter. So compare those two cars on the racing track is really difficult. I think there are some tracks where the Golf R have a big advantage, and some tracks where the TCR GTI got some advantage.
Do you know anything about acceleration figures yet, or is it not official?
I think these data are not official right now. I can say that car is quite fast.
And with a mechanical differential lock in the front as well, like the GTI Performance, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. So what we also change on that car is the brake system. The front brake system is exactly the system which we use on our world record with the GTI Club Sport S. So we save some weight with the brake disc, and at the same time you have more performance on the brakes. So we try to bring everything in the car what we have.
Thank you so much for the insight. And now we are joined by Jürgen Stackmann, Head of Marketing and Sales for the Volkswagen brand. First of all, the most important question, when is it available? And can you tell us something about pricing, and also where will it be available?
Well, basically, we are in the homologation process of the Golf GTI TCR. Basically, everything is done that needs to be done from an engineering point of view. Target is to get the car actually ready for sale before Christmas. So get your pockets open. It's a great Christmas gift, and it's going to be the hottest GTI we ever produced. Again, 290 horsepower, above 260 in top speed. That's the ambition. And obviously, like all GTIs, it should be in a price range that remains affordable, slightly above. Basically, sort of a normal GTI, but actually still in the range that people can actually afford.
So, and what is your personal connection to the GTI?
It's basically very early. My first car was a Polo. It wasn't a GTI, but obviously once you get on the hook of a Volkswagen, you're into the Volkswagen genetic code. It was a Sahara beige Polo. And obviously my dream always getting into the car was actually this car is meant to be a GTI. And so I have a long, relation to the phenomenon of GTI. It is the longest lasting heritage actually in automotive industry. We are very proud of GTI as a theme. in Volkswagen, and I think we've managed well to keep it very sort of genius, as a genius concept over 7 generations. It's a daily car that you want to use every day. You don't want to use. No, it's not a specialist car. It's for daily drive. But actually, once you are alone and once you want to have fun, this car gives you excess of fun, and that's the concept that has made GTI so strong, and that has created the imagination of all of our drivers to create their own GTI, which you can expect to see around Reifnitz.
So will this one be a fixed addition to the GTI lineup, or will it be like the Club Sport S that will be just available for a very short time in a limited edition?
No, it's not meant to be a limited edition. It is really the top range GTI. Basically, it's unlimited in time. Obviously, until we go to next generation Golf, but actually it's not a limit on the car. We'll wait until the response comes. We can build as many as our fans really want from us. And I do believe that the ingredients that we built into is a real hot one. For those who love GTI, this is a must-have.
And I guess available everywhere where you can also get the normal GTI in the market.
That's basically, it's Europe, basically Middle East. We're going obviously for the United States. It's going to go to Asia. So wherever you have GTI, you will have the opportunity to get GTI TCR.
So maybe a Christmas gift for your kids then as well?
Well, my son actually has a regular GTI. I think it's hot enough for him. He's 27, so I don't want to actually give him too much power under his hands. But obviously, you know, he knows that I'm here to present the car, and he can't wait actually to see the car, to get a feel for the car, and he will dream of a TCR. But I keep it a dream.
Okay, I'll cross fingers for your son then. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Golf GTI Performance and this new Golf TCR as well, or the GTI TCR. Well, this one here I think represents the sporty elegance, and when you want to have a little bit spice more, then you go for the performance pack with a little bit more horsepower and this differential lock in the front. I think it works very well in the exterior design. Of course, it's still a very classic car concept, so a very conservative approach on the one hand, but then again so well executed with a great build quality on the interior, a good comfort also for the compact segment, especially for tall people. So among the compact segment, I actually, you know, with my size feel most at home here in the Golf, and especially in the sporty version with the GTI that has a little bit more progressive performance approach. So I think also in the driving experience it became clear again that this one really has figured out the compromise between sportiness and comfort. And this new TCR version then, a special edition if you want to close the gap to the Golf R then horsepower wise and of course also performance wise. What do you guys think? Tell me your opinion in the comments section, and of course tune in next time to Autogefühl. Thank you so much for supporting us.